A lot of times I find players that are really good full swing ball strikers, lots of lag, getting their body angled back away from the target, often struggle pitching because it's almost the exact opposite. Let's go over the difference between pitching like a tour player and swinging like a tour player. So the first one would be your spine angle. Now when I make a full swing, I need power. In order to do that, I need to be behind the golf ball. So when I look at tour players, their spine angle, so from their belt buckle to the top of their sternum, you can imagine if this was a skeleton, you just saw my skeleton, my spine would be tilted away from the target like that. Now that allows you to get a bunch of lag as you do that, and then release that club out in front and get that club to really accelerate very quickly through contact so you can hit the ball really far. I measured 50 major winners on the PGA Tour. The average tilt with a spine was 20 degrees away from the target when they hit their driver. That was at contact, they're 20 degrees tilted away. Now for pitching, it's very different. If you measure tour players there, you're gonna see the spine angle is much more vertical. My weight is on my left. I almost feel like my nose is in front of the golf ball, which is way different than the full swing. You wanna feel like your nose is behind the golf ball. And from there, I'm just gonna kind of rotate back and through, staying more on top of the golf ball or left like this, not behind the golf ball like that. Now, this is important in chipping and pitching because it helps you to get your low point very consistent. And to be honest, if you didn't have to worry about hitting it very far, this would probably be the most consistent way to play golf. I'd just kind of bunt them down the fairway 50 or 60 yards at most, and I'd be a great player. This is a technique that you really use probably around 40 yards and in. But unfortunately with golf, you have to hit it far. It's really important. So you can't use the same technique for your pitching that you do for your full swing, or you're going to have some struggle. So again, I'm going to be vertical with my spine. My weight's going to be left. My nose feels like it's in front of the golf ball. And from there, I feel like I'm just going to toss the ball into this basket here. So I don't have the radar on. I just want to hit some of these short shots. And I'm going to feel like I rotate my body, and I was just going to toss that into the basket, just like that. I wouldn't ever toss the ball into the basket like this. I wouldn't throw it like that. That's very awkward. I'd want to rotate my body, get my right shoulder to come forward, and then toss it in that way. So you'll notice when I'm hitting these little pitch shots here, that's really all you're seeing me do. Very smooth, going ahead and letting the shoulder come around. It's almost hard to hit it this short. This is really a technique that's going to be flying the ball maybe another 10 or 15 feet than this. So I could hit over that basket too, would be completely fine. Anywhere from probably 15 yards all the way up to 40 yards. This is the technique that you're wanting to do with this. Now, from here, again, that little turn as I'm going back and through, let me go ahead and show you where I'd finish. So here I'm going to go ahead and hit one a little bit farther. You see that would be more like 25 yards. Now when I did that, my shoulders came out much more level. So if I'm hitting it toward the camera here, in a full swing, I would be very much like this. My shoulders stay tilted down. I have that lag from the inside. I release the club and my shoulders are tilted. In a pitch, my shoulders are going to be much more like this, much more level than they would be tilted down in the posture like that. My feet will also be closer together, which makes it easier for me to rotate on through there. So again, let me just take a nice little easy pitch shot here, and you'll notice how my shoulders come a little bit more level as I'm coming through versus full swing would be like that. So that's another really big one. Finally, the right arm. In the full swing, this is big. I want to have a lot of lag. I want that elbow tucked into my side, a big angle between my forearm, elbow, and upper arm. This is going to be bent. My club's going to be bent. Everything's really lagging in here as if I was going to take this club and fling it out in front of me. Now, when you're pitching, you don't really want to do that. You don't want to change this radius very much because that changes where your low point's going to be. I want to keep this elbow just slightly bent back and through and just let my body turn dictate the power. If I add some elbow bend in there, all of a sudden that club's really moving a long way and it's becoming more and more inconsistent. Full swing, that's great because you have speed, you have power. It's going to be as consistent as you can be. The most consistent in the players in the world do that because you have to do that to get power. But if we can eliminate that in these short game shots, I feel like this doesn't really bend very much, and I just use the rotation of my body to make that happen. Back and through. So you can see I'm going over the basket every single time, and I just go a little bit farther and farther. This one I'll hit even farther than that, but you'll notice my elbow doesn't bend very much as I'm doing that. There we go, and that one would bend another 30 yards or something like that. So that technique is going to be the same from any of those shots all the way out until about 40 yards. Now, how do we control our distances outside of 40 yards? You see pros hitting that number 30, 40, 50, 60 right on the button. They're landing that ball right on the target almost every single time. How in the heck do they do that? How do they judge how far they're going to be swinging? Well, there's a method that I like to use, which is a clock system. And you've probably heard of the clock system before, which is how far back your arms go, like it was a clock hand, and you use that to control the distance that you're hitting any shots. But I'll be honest with you, if that's the concept that you use, it's really not going to work. It's not about the clock itself, it's about the timing and the rhythm, the technique that we use while we're doing the clock swing. So what I want to teach you is the right way to do this clock swing so that not only the length of your swing is correct to hit those longer distances right on the button, but then also you know how to vary the timing. The timing is the key with it. So let me share with you one of the best videos on that clock swing. I'll play a preview here in just 1 second. All you need to do is go ahead and click the button that pops up on your screen, the card that pops up on your screen. If you don't see that, don't worry. Go down to the description below and click the link there. I can't wait to share with you the secrets of the clock swing and actually make it work to where you can be dialed in.
Well, I used to actually practice a lot in high school. This is one of my favorite things to do. I had a strip mowed down the back of my yard where I took the lawnmower. My parents probably hated this because I mowed it down to like half-inch turf in the back of the yard because we lived on a farm. And I would set buckets or towels along this, and I would try to set them at those distances that I knew. And maybe I knew my 56 degree went right at 65 yards. I'd set a bucket 65 yards away, and I would go ahead and do my 9 o'clock swing, and I would try to fly it right into the bucket. And I'd get to where I could tell for sure if I was going to be a couple yards short or a couple yards long, just because it gets so ingrained when you get the rhythm and the finish the same every time. We can use different length backswings to control the distance of our wedge shots. So for example, if we imagine that I'm a clock and 6 o'clock is directly down, my wedge would be at 6 o'clock, or my arms would be at 6 o'clock, I can go back to a 7:30 swing and I can have the same finish and hit at a certain distance, or I can go back to 9 or 10:30 and swing through to the same distance, and that's going to control, or the same finish point, and that's going to control the distance that my wedge shots are going to fly in the air. And I've got to keep that rhythm and that tempo very, very consistent. If I vary my tempos, I can hit at all kinds of different distances. So for example, I could have a real quick tempo 7:30 swing and probably hit this 90 yards. I could have a, maybe not really that far, probably 50 or 60 yards. I could have a very slow tempo 7:30 swing and hit half that distance. So I've got to get my distance the same. I've got to get my rhythm the same. That's the real key to it. And the second piece on there